Okay, welcome to Unit 1, Mod 1, Arguments. In this module, we're going to focus on the definition of an argument. I have a student going through this lecture material with me. Student, do you want to introduce yourself?
No, thank you.
Okay, well, let's move on. So our primary question is, what is an argument? But let's start with what an argument is not, since this is a word that's in our vocabulary. And then we'll move on to the precise definition that we'll be using in this class. What an argument is not is a heated, angry, emotional exchange, and an argument doesn't even need to involve disagreement or opposing views. Our go-to conception of an argument or definition for argument is not the one that we're going to be using in this class. So let's look at our precise definition. The definition we are using is this. An argument is a set of statements such that one of the statements is a conclusion, so arguments have conclusions. At least one statement is a premise or a reason or evidence, and the premises are supposed to support the conclusion. So there are three parts here: reasons, evidence, premises, the conclusion, the main claim, the thesis, and there is a support relationship. Any definition of argument for this class, like if you Google it or if you're using other textbooks or comparing, the essential piece of the definition is that arguments are made up of statements, so all the premises and conclusion are statements, and that there is a support relationship between them. So let's look at an example. All dogs have 3 eyelids. Charlie is a dog, so Charlie has 3 eyelids. This is an argument. Student, what's the conclusion?
That Charlie has 3 eyelids.
Right. And sometimes arguments contain words that help us to figure out that something is supposed to be a conclusion. The so here suggests that this is the conclusion we should draw from the rest of the sentence. All dogs have 3 eyelids, Charlie's a dog. So, given these things, this thing is true. Charlie has 3 eyelids. Okay, let's look at the second example. Charlie has 3 eyelids since all dogs do. Student, what's the conclusion?
Charlie has 3 eyelids.
Right. Charlie has 3 eyelids is the conclusion. Since is a word that tells us this is the reason why we should believe this or that this is true. One thing to point out here is that these are essentially the same argument. They both have the conclusion that Charlie has 3 eyelids. All dogs do have 3 eyelids is implicit here, is the reason here. 2 leaves implicit the assumption that Charlie is a dog, so that's left out. But importantly, number 2 is a case where we have one single premise and a conclusion, and it's one sentence, whereas our first example is 3 sentences with 2 premises and a conclusion. So the essential feature of an argument is that it has all 3 parts. There is a conclusion, there's a premise, and there's a relationship. A piece of reasoning has happened. There is something being supported. So if you're looking for arguments, you're looking for a claim that is being supported. So arguments are composed of statements. In the previous example, Charlie is a dog is a statement, and Charlie has 3 eyelids is a statement, and all dogs have 3 eyelids, also a statement. So arguments are composed of statements. The premises and the conclusion, all statements. So what exactly is a statement? Here is the precise definition of statement that we're using in this class. A statement is a meaningful, declarative sentence that is either true or false. It's the kind of thing that can be true or false. To get at what this means, let's compare it with other kinds of sentences. Okay, here are a couple of examples. San Diego is in California. This is a statement. As a matter of fact, it's a true statement. Number 2, this is not a statement. Is San Diego in California is a question. It doesn't assert something. This isn't the kind of thing that can be true or false. Don't go to San Diego. Also not a statement. This is a command. It's not the kind of thing that's true or false. If somebody says, don't go to San Diego, you wouldn't say, that's true. Okay, San Diego, Schmandiego also isn't asserting anything. It isn't the kind of thing that can be true or false. The word San Diego, the noun San Diego, it picks out a thing, but it is not asserting anything about the world. It's not the kind of thing that can be true or false. Number 6, San Diego is in California. This has an exclamation point just like number 3, but this isn't a command. It's just a really exciting statement. San Diego is in California. I've asserted something about the world with much excitement. It is the kind of thing that can be true or false. Stay away from San Diego. Also a command. It doesn't have an exclamation point. It's got a period afterwards, but still, this is a command to do something. So it's not the kind of thing that can be true or false. Okay, so let's do a couple of examples. I recommend that those of you following along pause the video to answer the question on your own before my student here answers the question. Okay, so number 1, all dogs have 3 eyelids. Is this a statement or not a statement?
It's a statement.
Yes, it asserts something. It's the kind of thing that can be true or false. How about Charlie is a dog?
That is also a statement.
Correct. Triangles are 3-sided figures.
This is also a statement.
Yes, it is. San Diego is in California.
Yep, that's a statement.
San Diego is in Virginia.
This is a statement.
Yes, it is. Now, some of you might have been inclined to say this is not a statement, but it is. It's a false statement. Statements can be true or false. Statements are the kind of thing that can be true or false. Okay, how about San Diego is in California and California is in the U.S.?
This is a statement.
Right. It's a, as we'll get into much later in the course, it's a compound statement. San Diego is in California and in the U.S., but it's still a statement. It's a statement that asserts 2 things that are true. How about either Juan is in San Diego or he's in Los Angeles?
This is also a statement.
Yes, it is. It's a disjunctive statement. It asserts that either one thing is true or another is, and this is a statement. How about if Lena is in San Diego, then she's in California?
That's a statement.
Yes, it is. It is a conditional statement, an if-then statement. It asserts a relationship between 2 things, but importantly, it asserts something, and it's the kind of thing that can be true or false. How about you shouldn't eat ice cream for breakfast?
You're not the boss of me. That is not a statement.
Wrong. This one actually is a statement. This is one of the most common complaints that students have, and I think for good reason, about the definition of statement. They're inclined to say intuitively, this isn't a statement. Would you want to say this is an argument, or what's wrong with it? Why isn't this a statement?
I took it as a command.
Okay, it also sounds like a command. I can see that too. I could see somebody reasonably interpreting this as either a command or an argument. And in part, this is because we do weird things with language. We don't always mean what we literally say. We make inferences based on the words people use to get at their meaning. And so oftentimes, when somebody says this, this is a polite way of commanding you not to eat ice cream for breakfast. So if your partner says to you as you're eating ice cream for breakfast, you shouldn't do that, technically that's a statement. That's either true or false. Should I or shouldn't I, and why not? But it might be a polite way of saying, you're not being an adult right now. Stop doing that. For our purposes, we're going to be super literal, at least for now. Later we'll get into some of the weird things we do with language and how we express what we mean when we don't use when we don't mean what we literally say. Now, why isn't this, and how can I tell why isn't this an argument? Well, just look, have you been given reasons for anything? You shouldn't eat ice cream for breakfast. Have you been given reasons for anything? No. So it's a statement, it's not an argument. And technically, anytime you see shoulds and shouldn'ts, you should interpret those as statements rather than commands. Okay, how about...
So wait, go
Sure.
back. So if it said, do not eat ice cream for breakfast,
That would be a command.
that's a command. Okay.
How about 10, the death penalty should be abolished?
That's a statement.
It is a statement, and many students might be inclined to think this is an argument. And that's because it's a really controversial statement. This is the kind of statement that might be the conclusion of an argument. But since we haven't actually been given any reasons for it, it's a statement. Before we move on, there's one more point that often comes up when going through these statements, and that's, again, with this shouldn't eat ice cream case. Sometimes people will say, that's an opinion, not a statement. And importantly, opinions are a kind of statement, a statement of opinion. I have an opinion, and hopefully the kind of thing I have opinion about is true, but it might be false. So statements of opinion are also the kinds of things that could be true or false, and we can argue for our opinions. So we're going to include them as perfectly good statements. Okay, just to recap, a statement is not the same thing as a fact. A statement may be true or false. And here's another way of putting the statements are not the same thing as facts, or that we can make statements about opinions or have statements of opinions. Statements may be descriptive. A statement can describe how something is or could be, or normative. A statement can express an evaluation. The important thing to remember is that a statement is the kind of thing that can be true or false.